Hello, Dave. Today is Sunday, the 24th of April, 2022. I am the Bro 9000, and I trust you are all functioning well today. Today, we are talking about all the shite that has been happening this week in entertainment and the socials. Hello, everybody. I'm Mr. Brown. Welcome to the show. I'm kind of assuming that everybody's watching The Critical Drinker, but for those who are there, nice to see you. Nice to see you. Nice, like Bruce Forsyth then. Hope you're all very well. Let's just get on with it. Yeah, let's get the guests out. So, set your Jedi power wands to stunning and brave. Your Photoshop automation to full power. He's an ambassador for Wuhan. That's in China, apparently. We have the wonderful Not Brian Young.
Well, hey. Evening, Bruce.
Hey.
Good
Yeah, my
evening,
friend.
chat. How are we?
I'm not bad. How are you?
Not too bad. Not too bad.
Not
brilliant,
too bad.
but not too bad either.
What day? Sure, what day? You're right, pal, yes. Look who's in.
Yes.
Bidget. Hello, Bidget.
Hail, Bidget and Chad.
Yes, Jacob Ironside. Hello, fella. Yes, we got a few watching. They obviously
Jacob.
know where to come as opposed to the Critical Drinker.
Yes. Let's advertise another show.
I think they all know about it anyway. So everything good in Brian Land, yes?
No, but at least I'm consistently bad. Buzz.
You know what? Should we just get the next body
Should we bring out the...
Let's get the next body out.
Body.
Okay, right. Okay, we're a bit short of bodies tonight, boys and girls. Everybody's keeping the missus happy. YouTube and wives don't kind of go together, do they? So anyway.
No.
Next up, he's the jester from Leicester. A Star Wars novelist who's giving War and Peace a run for its money. It's Swap Culture.
Oh, I'm on already. Oh, blimey.
Hey!
Better put it away, hadn't I?
It's not wanky.
Hello, everybody. It's good to be on again. Second night running. Might as well take advantage when I'm not working.
Good lad.
Yeah.
I'll just say hello to Romeo Tango November. Zulu.
Got some regulars in tonight then?
I think we're blessed by having a little hardcore posse of guys who know where we all can have a little bit of a chit-chat, a little bit of fun, talk bollocks, talk shit, wind down, you know.
Yeah, they know where the best show is. They know where the best show is on a Sunday night, so or on any weekend. So that's where they are.
Yeah, we're all in at the bottom end, aren't we? When it's the most fun, but the hardest work.
Bottom end. Oh.
That's what she said. Yes.
Too much Trevor in this stream.
We did ask Trevor to come on, but again, wife problem. So you well, Swap.
Yeah, I can't complain. I haven't got a wife, so I should be all right.
That's why we're okay, isn't it, me and you?
Yeah, I might just go off on silent for a few seconds while the kettle
crack
boils.
one off, yes.
But I'll do that as well. Yeah, but yeah, bring the next guest on, and I'll be back slurping on something moist.
Good man. Okay, right. Last but by no means least, sometimes in life you just have to walk amongst the great unwashed. He's the poshest person on YouTube. Watch out, Critical Drinker. It's Lord Cord.
Hello there.
Hello there. Are you well, buddy?
I'm not too bad, thank you. Although I've already heard the words hardcore, pussy, bottom end, and slurping. And there is a pegging comment in the chat, so I can see where this stream is going.
Big Dog's cock. Is that okay?
We can go with that. That's fine. Yeah, no, I did hear that Drinker and Mauler are doing their thing, but having been told yesterday on the stream that I sometimes sound like Mauler, we might be able to trick some people on if I just go, "Hello, ladies and gentlemen," and maybe some people will think
Cardiff.
that actually I'm from Cardiff.
In the chat, yeah, he's getting pegged, mate. More than you'll ever know. Hello, my friend. Lord, thank you for yesterday. You did brilliant.
Thank you for the opportunity. It was great fun.
You're a natural. You're better than me, mate.
Well, no, because I have to make sex jokes, because otherwise, if I'm not trying to be funny, then everyone assumes with the tone of my voice that I hate you. And you're much warmer and nicer and a better host in that respect than I am. So people will be glad to have you back, as we all are. See, even that sounded like it was insincere, but it was sincere.
Yeah, you're right, cunt, aren't you? I would say let's. You know what my next question is, but they're all getting told off by the wives.
Told off or pegged, so we'll stick with as we are.
Shall we just get on with it then?
That sounds like a plan.
I've wrote no script tonight. We're just gonna. I've done the pictures, done the slides. We'll just see how we get on.
This photo is of the reboot of the Doors film with a heavy gay influence, I believe.
Yes. Here we go. Look. Secret comedy. Okay. Mr. Brown Alliance. Please like, share, subscribe. Guys in the chat, the hardcore fans, please tell your friends. The subs just are not moving, and it's frustrating. So, okay. I'll quickly say, because obviously Matt Katz, he's got family stuff this week, so he's not on the stream, unfortunately, because Matty and I love this. It's Superman and Lois returns this week, thank God, and they're going into the mirror universe. So, again, I will say, boys and girls, if you are not watching Superman and Lois, it is probably the best thing you are not watching on TV at the moment. I think we're getting towards the business end of season 2, and I personally was worried after the end of season 1, but because I was thinking it was going to go woke, because it felt like a woke bomb had dropped right at the last episode. I do believe Brian saw that, didn't you, Brian?
Yes, I watched the entire first series and I didn't take your word for it, actually. I had to steam through it, and I was pleasantly surprised. A few pacing issues here and there, and sometimes it felt as if there wasn't enough time in each episode.
Yeah. But
overall, very, very good.
Much love on this channel for Superman and Lois. So,
back
this week. You are, buddy?
It's all backwards in that image. Is that the Bizarro version of it?
It is. It is. Ironically, I think somebody, I did this a couple of days ago, and you guys were going, "Why is it backwards?" Then somebody posted on Twitter the exact same thing. So I thought, okay, my job is done. Anyway, so this is back this week. I can't wait. I think it's Wednesday. Best thing you're not watching, boys or girls. So, right, let's get on with it. Oh. This dropped this week. I didn't even know it was on. And then I got a little message saying Better Call Saul's on. I thought, oh, yes. So, who on the panel has seen Better Call Saul?
I haven't, but I know he's a lawyer. But in this series, has he now become a matador?
I think that's just artistic license.
Yes,
Brian?
I've watched it. I watched these. I quickly crammed in the second episode in case we're going to talk about it, but I don't think anyone else has seen it other than you and myself.
No, it's just you and I, yes.
I absolutely love this program. It was significantly different to how I thought it was going to be way back at the start. It's filmed in a very old school type filming
Indeed.
techniques, very
It is.
arty-farty, especially the opening few minutes of every episode, and it's just eye candy. And it's kind of strange that it's very slow in some places, and it's kind of strange they've taken that approach when they've got such a zany character, but both sides kind of balance off. In fact, to be honest, you should really be doing this each individual episode. I think it's that good. That's me.
I know. Obviously, two stories going on. You've got the Gustavo Fring side of it, and then you've got the what's his name, Jimmy
McGill.
Yeah, you've got
also
the kind
known
of
as Saul Goodman.
Saul Goodman. So you've got those. They have kind of was it last season? They kind of in the season before they kind of crossed a little bit because Saul knows Mike, doesn't he?
Yeah. The earlier seasons kind of moved at a snail's pace.
Yeah.
But since they removed one of the main characters, his brother, it's kind of speeded up a little bit, which I think the series was needing overall. It seemed to be meandering somewhere, or meandering nowhere, to be quite honest. But I think we're going to get certainly a very strong start with the first two episodes. And I know this is the last season, so I think it's going to be pretty good. And the fact that they actually managed to have a bit of dramatic tension when you know what characters survive and which characters don't, it's quite remarkable.
Some big guest stars this season.
Don't tell me.
Well, it won't be too difficult to guess. But
welcome to spoilers on the Mr. Brown Alliance.
No, I just kind of, I didn't even read it. It just said big guests this season. And if you watch Breaking Bad, I think you can make an educated guess.
Is it Bryan Cranston?
I would say possibly.
So that's yes. Okay. It's a non-denial denial.
Yeah. So we'll see. But it's just so good. Just so good.
I did put episode 1 of the first series on because I remember trying to watch it when it came out because I liked Breaking Bad, and I remember when Better Call Saul came out, and I tried to get into it. For some reason, there was just something about it that didn't quite click with me, and I think I just lost track of it. I never disliked it, and as Brian says, like, some of the film style is lovely, and the music choices, the aesthetic, which it's sort of carried over from Breaking Bad, are really great. It was just, I don't know if it was the pace or something else, but I just lost track with it over time, and then I might have to go and revisit it if this series is.
It was a bit of a slow burn.
Yeah.
And the stuff what you really wanted to happen, you knew you kind of would have to wait for it. But while it was well written and good, it lost its way a little bit on season 3, and I think season 3 was very disappointing. And then it started to pick up again after a certain character left. But just so good. Season 4 and 5 were so fucking brilliant. Anyway. Okay, so we'll move on. So we'll just say hello to Mayor McCheese. He's got the bacon out. Mephisto in the chat. Mr. Brown Alliance, I really don't bother watching modern day stuff, to be honest. Currently watching Buck Rogers in the 25th century. Oh, God, I love that. Buck Rogers was fantastic. Swappers, are you a fan of Buck Rogers?
Absolutely loved it. I really did. Although I tried to go back and watch it like a couple of years ago. And it took a bit of effort to get through it. It's not like, as a kid, obviously, your expectations are like way lower. And so you'll accept a lot more. But as an adult with a bit more perspective on sci-fi and pop culture entertainment and stuff, it's I don't know if it's, I mean, in some aspects it has aged well. In others it's a bit like, it's a bit cringe. But I really did enjoy all the toxic masculinity.
Indeed, and the very, very fit women. Romeo, Tango, November Zulu. Been a Superman fan since 1978. I think we all have. And enjoy the show. Best version of Bizarro ever. Could use less time with the Lang family, though. Does anybody really care about them? I do like the mother. Very, very tidy, but you're probably right. I just think it's just a nice, well-packaged surprise. So, anyway, okay. Right. And yes, there is some hissing. I don't know where that's coming from, but there you go.
Oh, that might be my computer fan because it is going over. Turn it down. How do I turn it down?
It's usually
One
mine.
of these buttons.
Yeah, it's probably mine,
Should
but
now
anyway.
fine.
Okay,
If
so
I
I'll just say
suddenly disappear though, it's because I've overheated and exploded. But hopefully this will be fine.
I'll just say to everybody, if you're a fan of Breaking Bad and you have not watched Better Call Saul, this is the final season. I'm assuming there's 10 episodes. So you've probably got about 8 weeks to pile through the seasons to get to the end. So it genuinely is a great show. Bob Odenkirk's fantastic in it. Jonathan Banks, who was the in Beverly Hills Cop as one of the Victor Maitland's bodyguard, he's in it, and he's just one of my favorite actors. So good. Anyway, okay, check it out, everybody. It's brilliant. Speaking of brilliant programs, I don't think anybody's watched this on the panel this week, have they? No.
I started watching it a couple of weeks ago. Haven't seen it since, sadly, so I haven't seen this week's episode, but I do need to catch up on it.
Luckily,
excellent.
I'm up to date with this, and I think I'm at episode 7, and I've got to check out watch episode 8. I think we're starting to get to the business end of it now, and it's really good. Obviously, the story is about an American journalist wanting to be, a journalist in Japan. So it's kind of like a fish out of water type scenario, but he's really into kind of all the Japanese mafia stuff. And at the moment, there's 2 rival gangs. One's trying to one's importing drugs into Tokyo, but the other gang is, they don't want anything to do with drugs. So there's kind of families at war type stuff, and the American journalist is trying to obviously get stories about it. It's good old-fashioned storytelling like it used to be back in the day, and as I said, Michael Mann, who did Miami Vice, he's behind it, and Ken Watanabe, I think it's his production company and family who are. I think this is their pet project, and again, it's great. It's great. There is good TV out there.
What's the soundtrack like?
It's a lot of the composers. When you look at the credits and the directors, and it's Japanese. So it's kind of a full-on kind of Japanese production with Japanese directors and music and stuff like that.
Completely not woke.
No.
That's got a lot going for it in that case.
It's based on the memoirs of the title character, isn't it? It's real life. Well, it's an adaptation of real life.
Yeah, it's set in I think it's set in 1999, 2000.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So there's kind of 3 stories going on. There's one with an American. What are the? It's not geisha girls. Is it the girls who work in bars? There's an American girl who does that for a living, and she's up to no good. And she's getting involved with one of the gangsters. And as I said, the American journalist is kind of tapping Ken Watanabe's. He's a police kind of investigator. So when there's like a bust, the reporter goes with him. So it's good TV. All I can say is recommended. I think there is 10 episodes because it seems to me everything seems to be 10 episodes these days. So anyway, HBO Max, check it out, guys. Really good. So let's see what's next. In certain circles on YouTube, this is the gift that keeps giving. Who would like to start? Anybody seen this week's episode?
I must confess, I actually haven't, because I've been too busy on other related projects, but also because this has been really tricky. Because when the end of season 1 happens, and you think, okay, it is quite deliberately, consciously evil. It's not just incompetent. It is achieving what it wants to achieve, and what it wants to achieve is destructive. Therefore, that kind of makes it interesting in a sort of a cultural way, and something that's worth exploring. So I sort of planned to do this whole series looking at it because I knew season 2 was coming out. Then season 2 comes out, and it's not even thoughtfully, intelligently evil anymore. It just doesn't need to exist, and I do not find myself wanting to watch it for reasons of hatred anymore. It's just it's there, and
you're monetized, so it's making you money now.
Well, kind of, but I mean, like this, I'm really struggling to summon up the will to keep on with this season, even to review it, which is difficult. But I will probably binge the last 3 or 4 episodes, however many I've missed, when the whole thing finishes, and then do a short video on that. But then I will probably wash my hands of the whole sorry affair, because it doesn't even want to be clever anymore. It's just pointless.
In the chat, Matt won, or is it I? This episode, we miss you, by the way, Matty. This episode was the worst of the season. And then Bijet, see, he knows this channel. Get it off screen. Pooh, moving on. And then Matt won, or is it I? This episode was a 5-minute story stretched into a millennia. Ugh. Garbage, pure garbage.
Because that's the thing. Because in season 1, stuff did happen. The episodes were relatively, or at least comparatively, full. It was all bad, but at least they had designs and they wanted to achieve them. They had characters they wanted to destroy and ideals they wanted to sabotage, and all of that other nefarious activity. But with this one, that is a summary of most of the episodes I've seen of it so far. You've got one very loose concept, like, what can we do this week? Who can we? Should we have a go at ice? Yeah, let's have a go at ice. We could do that in 5 minutes, but we have a show to fill, so let's make it an hour long, and nothing else actually happens. It's just it doesn't care about itself anymore, and I don't really see why we should be made to care about it either.
I would say, as I said last week, Lord Cord and the Little Platoon channel are becoming the premier channel discussing Picard.
I did watch this show this week. I've somehow managed to get through every single episode. I nearly bailed after last week's because I thought last week's was absolutely terrible. I don't like this show one bit. Having said that, and I'm going to be at complete odds with Matt here, I thought this episode was the best episode of the entire show, which really isn't saying much. It's like being the best writer in The Last Jedi sort of thing. Same kind of...
Always goes back to The Last Jedi, folks.
It always going to go back
to The Last
Jedi with me. But I thought the character arc for the detective was pretty decent. Also, having said that, the budget restrictions on display, they never went anywhere. It was just like the Fly episode from Breaking Bad, which was directed by Rian Johnson. Just a nice little I would say Picard actually was his old self for 30 seconds, which was really nice to see and made me wish that they'd done more of that throughout the 2 series. John Delancey and I thought Brent Spiner were both good performances this week.
Both of them are great, especially John Delancey.
Yeah, I would say best of a bad lot, to be quite honest.
It does go to show, doesn't it, the benefits of having great actors, even though you your story and direction and everything else might be utter hogshite. You know, if you've got decent, you've got decent actors that really do capture your attention, it can really detract from how bad a show is. And obviously, you guys are managing to reluctantly watch it, but you're managing to do it. So obviously, there's, you know, it's got that quality to it.
Some of the script this week is really, it's absolutely abominable.
Would you care to read the comment? I know you get a little bit upset that you go for it.
Sorry. RRTNZ in the chat says, don't watch Picard. I've gone back to good old TNG. A very wise choice. Yes. I watched Measure of a Man and Chain of Command. Peak Picard.
Mm-hmm.
The good old
I try
days.
And balance it up with an old episode every time I watch one. Maybe 2 episodes to one to try and cleanse the palate.
Yeah, right. I can remember the days when I used to watch The Next Generation just solely for Picard, man. God, that character was great. And you look at this image, right? You take off the logo and where it says Picard, you wouldn't have a fucking clue what it was about, which it really it'd be like something like The Lighthouse or something like that, you know.
Have they rebooted a TV version of The Expendables?
In this episode, Picard actually says, I'll tell you my truth. I went, oh, fuck me.
The previous comment from Romeo described a few episodes of peak Picard. This is how far we've come in, 30 years, is it? 27 years? This is what we've got to, boys and girls. In the chat, 30 seconds, low bar.
It is on Romeo's point, because like in this long ass Discovery review that I'm doing, because I'm trying to make it a reasonably thorough critique, and also to take it as an opportunity to show not only why Discovery is bad on its own terms, but why it's bad as Star Trek. It's given me an opportunity to go back and watch a lot of these TNG shows, which deal superficially with similar themes. And then I think in part 1 of this critique, I actually do put them side by side. I think it is a Measure of a Man, isn't it, where they debate Data's sentience with the equivalent episode in Discovery. And the debate over sentience, I mean, I studied philosophy at uni. I did a master's in it because I had nothing else to do with my time. And that, you know, that holds up as an episode in its own right, but also it holds up intellectually. This is a real serious conversation. It's asking important questions, and it's asking them intelligently. It actually knows what it's talking about. The writers clearly are intelligent people. You go to the equivalent Discovery episode, and it's just they look at the brain of the ship's computer and they discover it has dreams, and the dreams show that it really, you know, it loves the crew and it feels things. And therefore it's not a sentient AI, but because then it would have to be killed for some reason. It's actually a new form of life, because apparently they've missed the point of sentience and the interesting bit of, you know, what actually is the difference between sentient AI and life form. They've said there is a difference between them, but because the show needs it to happen, it has feelings, therefore it's alive, and we can save it. And it's like, and it just says, what's it says? Something like, it feels marvelous. What does? Being seen. What the hell are you talking about? You're the ship's computer. Literally everyone looks at you 100% of the time whenever they're using a fucking control panel. It feels marvelous being seen. But it is a great opportunity to go back and actually rewatch a lot of this stuff and use it as well as footage. So yeah,
that sounds like a narcissist version of HAL from 2001.
Yeah, well, I mean, and they all take it seriously, because like the gay doctor character, when they're having what it passes for their debate, he's sort of he ums and ahs about this idea that well, okay, but the ship's computer, even if it is alive, you know, it's got 100% control over all of the ship's systems, and it's already proven that it can disobey orders. So if you say it's a new life form, you know, is it safe to leave it in the ship? And the conclusion to that argument is just, well, it dreams about us, therefore it loves us, so it's all fine now. And I actually made the point in part 1 of this review: if these writers, Discovery's writers, written 2001, Hal would have won, because they are that fucking naive. Just,
I think you need to have a shower after this stream. Brian, would you care to read Bishop Moore's comment?
Bishop Moore in the chat says, Picard and Q, they look like they got the wrong meals on wheels order and are really grumpy about it.
Then Jacob Ironside, have you all watched Star Trek Continues series on YouTube? Yes. Watch it. It's great.
I haven't seen that yet. I really
It's
should.
really good.
Everyone raves about it, don't they?
Yeah, I when I was working and had some spare money, I think I actually donated some money to their crowdfund.
Wow.
And yeah, it's great. It's great. Check it out, everybody. Star Trek continues. If you want to watch some proper Star Trek from people who understand Star Trek, bearing in mind these are fans. When this was out, I think Discovery was on first season, I think. And their Star Trek was better than the shite that was coming from the official studios. So there you go. Fan fiction can be better.
To be fair, actual shite is better than the shite that's in Star Trek Discovery.
Yeah. So is there only 1 or 2 episodes left?
I hope so.
I think it's 2. I think.
Yeah.
Oh,
Because as I say every week, we will all be watching for season 3. Let's just get it over with. Get to season 3, see what happens.
I'm honestly not sure I will. This is the thing. This is how bad season
Stop
2 is.
lying.
And how
You will. You'll be there. You'll be there.
Because this is genuinely, this is what season 2 has achieved, because it's so empty and thoughtless, and it's such a drag that, you know, even after season 1, you know, I could say maybe they can course correct, maybe they can go back, maybe, you know, if they get the original cast, and maybe, you know, I can at least go and see how they decide to destroy all the other good characters that we like. But after season 2, I just do not. It literally sucks all the energy out of me when I even consider going to watch an episode. So I really do not know if I'm going to even bother with season 3. I don't. I probably will, because I have nothing else to do with my life. But I don't. I won't be happy about it.
You know you will. I think everybody knows in the chat they will. So they've got us over a barrel. Anyway, moving on. Moon Knight. I have bailed on this because last week's episode, I think I got about 20 minutes into it, turned it off because I had to do something, and then I've decided I can't be arsed with it anymore. So, has anybody watched it, this episode, please, pal?
yes. I've...
Yes. You always can depend on not Brian Young. Go on,
It was
Brian.
so forgettable, I can't remember a thing about it.
Okay, so moving on then.
Moving on.
Yes,
was
I've
this
seen it. Can I remember it?
was this on it?
Yes. Yes, it was.
I don't understand what that means, but because I'm a thick fuck. What does it mean?
I have to zoom in to see.
Bear with me.
Yeah, I'm perplexed by this scene. What is it actually depicting?
Does anybody in the chat know what this means?
I know that his younger brother was in the show with him, and they kind of mapped his face onto his, I think, so he could have 2 characters in the same scene.
Okay.
But I don't know what that's got to do with the comic.
Well, this is Stephen meeting
Jacob.
Mark, isn't it?
Yeah, see, Jacob bailed. Yeah.
I found this series to be relatively inoffensive and kind of watchable, probably just because of Ethan Hawke. But I know I said Ethan Hunt there, but it's struggling to hold my attention.
Matt or is it Matt 1 in the chat? This episode was better than the last 2 episodes, but still not that great.
Yeah, I've only heard like so many people are just saying it's boring more than anything. And when you want to see something juicy on screen, like a good fight scene or something, they kind of skip it or turn the camera away or flip ahead, or you don't actually see the juicy stuff. It's all suggested, or it just happened when someone was unconscious.
It's cheaper to do it, probably.
Yeah. Just so they can save money. Ridiculously, just so they can save money. So that's the way to keep your audience, isn't it? Like tease them with stuff, but never actually show them anything. And the trailer for me before the show started looked great. I was really excited to watch it, and then I heard the early reviews, and I just thought, oh God, this does not deserve my attention.
I think this kind of strobing frames and flashing lights would obviously appeal to certain people, and they go, "Fucking hell, this is incredible." But we don't want to see that. We want to see him kicking shit out of people.
I thought you'd love that kind of thing, Brown, being an ex-raver.
No drugs though, unfortunately. In the chat, try to remember the... Oh, God, here we go. Couldn't write this. Just Say No song from Grange Hill, if tempted to watch Picard,
How
Zamo.
can you forget that? How
Yeah.
can you forget that song? Poor Zamo.
He
Just
said
say
yes,
no,
though, didn't he?
No.
He should have said no, but he said yes.
Terrible advice, that, incidentally, but never mind.
I never
Looked at
remember
the
him
dark
saying
side.
actually saying yes. It was more sort of, oh, go on then.
Didn't
A lot of
they
sniffing
all?
involved.
Yeah, didn't the Grange Hill school kids from that all go to the White House to meet Ronald Reagan? I'm sure they did.
God, they didn't, did they? I
They
didn't hear
did,
that.
yeah, because it was like a big drug offensive. What they were doing in the States with the, the
War on
Bolivian,
drugs.
war on drugs. The Bolivian powders.
Mm.
Yeah. So
It's
anyway,
actually started under Richard Nixon, the war on drugs, and still is ongoing. So, like all American wars, it's gone spectacularly well.
Well, a lot of the U.S. budgetary income depends on. It's a controversial statement, obviously. But it depends on the circulation of certain narcotics, shall we say? So I don't expect it to eradicate them. Put it that way.
now I know that Romeo is a massive fan of Egypt. Moon Knight was 90% busy work, rush around to do a thing to get the next thing. The hippo is what's that? Tarot?
Toweret.
An Egyptian goddess of
positivity.
and shut up,
Oh.
Wesley. Hello,
Oh, that's
Scotty.
brilliant. I enjoyed that laugh. That was
I was going to say, I think the costume count last week was at 6 minutes. Jacob has given us a bit of an update for this week's. It's now 11 minutes for the entire.
Good Lord, that's hugely
Season.
generous.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Budget constraints.
So a program about a superhero, and we've not seen any of him.
It's crazy, really, isn't it? When you think of like a show like Daredevil that was on Netflix, had an awful lot of him out of his costume, but it was kind of valid in that respect. And then when you did see him in costume, it was incredible. Even though it wasn't necessarily, a large amount of the show, when he was on screen, they made it count. The fight scenes and just every minute, every second he was on screen was just glorious. And in this, it just seems like, oh, do we have to?
Oscar Isaac's fabulous. I think he obviously wanted a new wing on his mansion, so you can't blame him. Time prophecy, everybody. Brian, do you want to read it?
Yeah, I agree with this.
Type Prof in the chat says Moon Knight has got the worst accent since Dick Van Dyke did a Cockney accent. I didn't think it was that bad.
I thought that's a Paul Van Dyke thing, but that's something totally different. Okay, right.
The flashback Brown, maybe? Yeah.
Possibly, yes. Okay, so moving on. Halo.
Yes.
Have you watched this week's episode, Lord?
I had time to cram in one of these things before this stream, and I chose Halo because it's the one I thought would do least damage to my psyche.
And
where's the music coming from, by the way? Or is that just me? Sorry, I've got my laptop playing songs at me. I thought it was on the stream. Ignore me. Yeah, Halo.
Is there all week, boys and girls?
Yeah. No, completely distracted by some weird thing that just popped up.
Flashing lights.
Where's that music coming from? It should be a quote of Brown's, really.
Anyway, Halo. Right, so
moving on.
Yeah, Halo. Back to things. So
get on with it.
There were things not to hate about this episode. I'm not invested in it at all. It just is this. I don't know what's going on. The story has not stuck in my mind. I don't think any of the characters really exist as characters. They're just there to make stuff happen. There's some really dodgy aesthetic decisions. It's very important when you're doing a show like this with, well, it's clearly obviously inspired by video game aesthetics, that you actually use lighting, for instance, that does not make your main characters look like the Power Rangers on steroids. That would be good. Or that their armor is made of plastic, which the creators have not done. Don't know what the villain's motivations are. Some of the CG fight scenes are dodgy. Some of the action sequence, this is the thing I didn't mind about it. Some of the action sequences were good, but then they were interspersed with this absolutely wacky first person like face shot. Like he's punching the shit out of some alien thing on the floor, and he's putting everything into it. And then the camera goes to his face, which is completely static, even though the rest of his body is, as we see from the outside shots, moving around a lot. And he just makes various expressions that are sort of, it's like a robot attempting to be angry. Or I've heard what the definition of anger is. Here's my artificial intelligence.
Like a poor man's Iron Man shot.
Yeah, that's the idea of the shot. And it just completely distracts from it. And then there's just there's weird stuff like, he jumps on a ship thing, which flies into another ship thing, but somehow he emerges unscathed from this. But if someone gets punched in the head, then he's taking damage, and there's no idea of what power levels are or what protects you against what, when, except for when the plot requires it to happen. And also, I mean, I think the overall aesthetic of this thing, actually, I was trying to think what it reminded me of, and it was one of the Stargate TV series. When shows that are made for TV try and look better than they are, and it just looks dodgy, it looks cheap, it really looks made for TV. And something with this budget should not look made for TV, but Halo really, really, really does. So, I mean, it sort of just left me nonplussed, really. But at least that's better than hating it.
Yeah, my thoughts were this. I genuinely think if this was tightened up a little bit, this could be a good program. But it is season 1, so obviously season 1. Season 1 of Star Trek: The Next Generation was shite back in the day. Really, you have allowances. There is obviously all this woke stuff, which occasionally it's just kind of tickled you, if you know what I mean. This was a better episode because at last we're seeing some action, but it felt like a poor man's Starship Troopers.
Yeah.
Because it reminded me of the kind of the compound scene in Starship Troopers, but kind of very, very low rent.
But it needs to decide what it doing.
Wants to be.
And so far, it's not only not decided, but it sort of has decided, but it's decided on entirely the wrong thing. So, the creators came out at the beginning and decided to alienate all of the people who love the games by saying that they deliberately ignored all of the games, which is fair enough. So you've lost that part of your audience. But then they go and they almost seem to consciously be making it look like a video game adaptation, which does not generally appeal to a general audience. So some of the first-person shooter shots, some of the references to the games that they've already admitted that they're ignoring, it looks like a bad video game adaptation, and it needs to decide whether it's going to be another video game adaptation or whether it's just going to say we are based on the game, but this is a different product. And I keep going back to Arcane as the example of how to do this, but Arcane is the example of how to do this because it's one of the only things based on a video game which does not suck ass, because they didn't try and replicate the aesthetic of the game or game mechanics or pander to people who just wanted to remember what it's like playing a first-person shooter game. They thought, okay, this is a world that's really fascinating, some characters that are great, a lore that's ready-made. Let's go and turn this into a new medium and exploit all the potentials of that new medium. Halo has done none of that. Halo has said, we don't care about gamers, but also here's a video game film. Who do they expect to watch that and like it?
Well, I know we're getting very confused messages. In the chat, Wesley Crusher says, keep TNG season 1 out of your fucking mouth. I was kind of over-exaggerating, Scotty. I will say, though, season 2, I think season 2 of Star Trek Next Generation was my favourite season.
Really? Wow.
I know.
It didn't grab. I mean, I enjoyed all of it, but it didn't really grab me until season 3.
I don't know. I've just got a soft spot for it. And I think it was Dr. Pulaski because I know she was a bit of a handful on set.
Oh, didn't know that.
But I don't know. When she could be bothered to, I just liked it. I thought she was a great character at times. But anyway, so Halo, it needs to see Scotty. There you go. I agree. Season 2. There you go.
Suck up.
Sorry, Wesley. Halo needs to, as I said, it was made about 2 years ago.
Looks like it's made 10.
Yeah.
Where does it come on the woke scale? 1 out of 10, from 1 to 10. Where's it come on that?
Because obviously it's the 25th century or 26th. Obviously, everybody's equal and stuff like that. So if we weren't in modern times where we were all wokeified, but I don't think none of us would just bat an eyelid, but we've become hypersensitive to it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's taking the edge off it. So technically, because Halo is set 500 years ahead,
I'm smelling a horrible whiff of headcanon from you there, Brown. It's not like you. Really, not like you.
Anyway.
On the scale of 1 to, I think if you're comparing it to a lot of other productions, actually, it does genuinely score very low. There is not a huge amount, again, by comparison with the current state of media.
Yeah.
There are definite inserts from time to time, but they are just momentary throwaways. So you could kind of give it a 3, I guess. It just doesn't. It's not even interested enough in itself to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's the woman who takes her own emotion chip out and becomes a pink-haired thing, which is usually the opposite, because you normally expect SJWs to be microchipped, and that's why they think the way they do. But this is the opposite. And then she does her hair pink, but fittingly, she becomes slightly more woke, and then in this episode she becomes a useless emotional wreck. So it's I don't know, maybe
because she's lost the edge, hasn't she?
She has.
Yeah. I've got a great way to improve this show, and I guarantee.
Stop making it.
Oh,
I know.
I guarantee that you get like loads and loads of viewers, and that's if you changed all of the actors on screen with Thunderbird style puppets.
Well, I think in the case of the main character, that has already been done. But
I think Jacob sums it up perfectly, really, in the chat.
It would
Jacob Ironside, Peter Jackson's Halo would have been awesome. It'd have
been
scale.
Neil Blomkamp's as well. Although there is evidence of Neil Blomkamp's like early attempts of it on YouTube if you have a look, and they're great. But yeah, it's always what could have been, isn't it?
Well,
so the Peter Jackson thing, just really quickly, because I'm still salty about this. You could have given this to Peter Jackson, and it's a beloved franchise. It's got a great world. It's got a brilliant director then nominally attached who's fantastic at bringing these worlds to life. But I'm very salty about what he did with Mortal Engines, which is just palmed off to some digital effects goblin from Weta Workshops to do the directing instead. Okay. And then it turns into Mortal Engines, the film, which is just abysmal. So if Peter Jackson, if there's something in the contract that says you are not allowed to palm this off to go and work on a passion project, then yeah, Peter Jackson's Halo would be good. But if there is nothing in that contract, then what you will get is Halo executive produced by Peter Jackson, directed by some drone you've never heard of before.
Well, it was Peter Jackson producing Halo. Neil Blomkamp was going to direct it, but it fell through for some reason.
Oh, was it supposed to be both of them on that production?
And the only positive of that falling through was we got District 9.
True, yeah, we did. That's right.
Because what was left of the money said, go make District 9. So, so District 9 is the Halo movie, folks. But anyway, okay.
I did love that film.
Oh, it's a great film. Great film. Apparently the sequel's on its way. So
they're saying, yeah, we need to do a stream on District 9, actually. That'd be great.
Can you believe it? 13 years ago.
God, what? Jeez.
District 9.
Very, very concerned about a sequel for that film in this current climate, though. I mean, if it's like Star Trek again, if there is one thing that you could think this is ripe for being woked to death, then District 9 is absolutely it, because there's already political subtext in the original District 9. But given now with any concept of racial apartheid and slavery and all the rest of that now just gets egged to the point of death. Egged to death, that's a thing that I've just made up. I would be concerned about District 9 2, or whatever it's going to be called. Very concerned.
You can imagine, can't you, how the SJWs what they do to it with the immigrant kind of angle.
District 9 kind of already was woke back in the days, as Ben kind of touched on, but excuse me. I mean, it was originally just a very short film before they expanded it and made it the whole thing.
Here we go.
Basically, to make those points.
Prophet of Doom, we will get diverse aliens in the new District 9. 13 years ago, can you believe it? God, I remember going to see it and I thought, fucking hell, this is great.
I was blown away. Blown away by that.
Smacked up me tits.
Wesley in the chats, prawn is a racist.
Yeah, can't say prawn.
Right.
But that's not racist, that's what he looked like.
But back then, 13 years ago, you can do a sci-fi film from. He is a South African director, isn't he? And it clearly draws on the South African experience. But now you would absolutely get, this is actually America, guys. America is apartheid South Africa. There is no moral difference between these two things. White man bad because I don't like apartheid. If you're white, you're evil and get lost because we are anti-apartheid, because that's how that works. So yeah, it's one of the reasons I haven't gone back to rewatch it in such a long time. Yes, absolutely. I hate everyone equally. I'm an equal opportunities.
Same here. I don't pick out anybody specifically. I just hate everybody. Okay. Romeo, Blomkamp's Oat Studio shorts are better than most films today. Again, Blomkamp was going to do RoboCop 2, the proper sequel to RoboCop.
Yeah,
fell through.
Like he was going to do Alien 5 as well, and they both have all been pulled out from under him. It's just absolute tragedy.
I've tweeted Blomkamp so many times to come on the channel, but anyway.
You also tweeted Elon Musk today, I noticed.
Yeah.
You're going for very likely subjects.
They need to come on these channels and enjoy themselves. Anyway, okay, because I know he loves Space 1999, you see. Anyway, okay. So
just briefly, Time Prophet in the chat asks about a Tim Burton Halo. What would people think of that?
Nothing, obviously.
I'm trying to imagine it.
Same.
Scotty, I tweeted Blomkamp once. Good Chappie. I've not seen Chappie.
Yeah, I've seen that one. I wasn't that enamored by it.
No, I've not seen it. Did he do? Was it Elysium?
Elysium.
Yeah, Elysium. I was
Elysium.
It was. Elysium.
I've got fucking drugs on. Sorry, guys. I've got LSD on the brain. Sorry, boys.
Elysium was honestly a much better title for that film because it was very, very silly.
Oh, so disappointed with that.
Yeah.
I think Brown's thinking of Psyllium Husk there.
Oh.
Never mind. Moving on.
I'm fucked. Sorry, guys.
Usually I went for the innocent interpretation. That doesn't happen often.
Yeah, right. Fuck it. Oh, here we go. So moving on. This, hello, Melvin. This dropped yesterday, or I saw it yesterday. Let's go full screen. Doctor Strange. We're getting onto the socials now. Doctor Strange in the multiverse of wokeness banned in Saudi Arabia.
What's that?
There is some. It's down to the gay character.
Which gay character?
I don't know. Gay character?
Is it the what's her name? The girl Chavez? I don't know what her name is because
American Chavez.
Yeah, I'm not interested.
I mean, okay, you can have a gay character in it without like actively doing gay stuff on screen.
You can.
So, what does she run around the screen all the time, just shouting, "I'm gay, gay rights, gay this, gay that, gay" all the time? Because that probably would annoy them. Yeah, but I very much doubt they would do that.
I would just say to Scotty, yes, too much LDS, mate. Time Prophet, yes, too much LDS. You little Star Trek twats.
LDS.
Yeah, they get it. Star Trek 4 gag. Well done, boys. So apparently it's still okay in certain other Arabic countries, but Saudi has banned it.
Well, usually when Saudi does things, everybody else falls into line afterwards. No, I just looked that up. Yeah, it's because, so it's not even because America Chavez is gay in the film. It's because she is gay in the comics.
Yeah.
Therefore, she's a gay character. Therefore, they've outlawed it. So, I mean, because Disney's usual response to this stuff is just to cut these scenes from films, isn't it? But maybe the Saudis have sort of wised up to that and have decided, nope, that's not good enough, because even if your character is that's sort of like the opposite end of the modern stuff in the West, really. You get these two extremes of utter batshit mentality. And it's,
it looks as if he's looking at Vicky and using both hands in this poster. It's not very good.
Disney are in trouble, aren't they?
Yeah, well, it just goes to show how disingenuous they are with their virtue signaling.
Lots of double standards oozing out the floorboards.
Yeah, they're all about rights this and rights that and supporting this minority and whatever. And then at the same time, they want those Saudi Arabian cash, don't they? But they're kind of stuck in the middle. It's like that meme, isn't it, with the space guy mopping his brow, not knowing which button to press.
Time Prophet in the chat. I've met Cumberbatch, by the way. Cumberbatch is pretty gay. And then he's back, everybody. That's Nigel, movie guy.
I don't know where I'd be without these Star Wars facts.
In fact, Matthew, would you? This is top trivia. Would you like to read this?
Go on then. The AT-AT Walker was developed during the Clone Wars and used in the Imperial Army, the ground forces of the Galactic Empire.
I did not know. Did anybody know that on the panel? Top trivia, boys and girls.
Nigel loves his AT-ATs, though, doesn't he?
He does.
Who doesn't like giant walking metal space cows?
I've never seen them. I need to find out what they are, and maybe we could do a stream on the AT-AT Walker sometime, Nigel.
Just the Walker on its own, nothing else.
Yeah, I don't know what they are. Okay, so is anybody going to go see this film?
Yes.
No.
I was for a moment there. When it was announced that Sam Raimi was doing direction.
Hello, Nigel.
Yeah, I kind of thought, oh, Sam Raimi. Okay, well, that's just shown a bit of, I'm a bit slightly intrigued now.
Yeah.
Rather than the whole MCU thing before, and then obviously all the other crap's crept in since then. Scarlet Witch being shoehorned in, that trailer showing this feminazi character and that feminazi character, and whammons everywhere, and it's going to be all about her now, etc., etc. And then the Scarlet Witch and Vision show and all that, and I just thought, I know where this is going to go. I don't think I can. I think if I'm sitting there in the cinema watching this and I'm feeling like utterly disgusted at the fact that I spent £12 on a movie ticket to be indoctrinated into more wokeness, then I'd be pretty pissed off. So I'm probably going to sidestep it, to be honest.
I'm kind of I kind of just thought about this just specifically just now. I'm kind of thinking this could be the make or break film. If this goes down not very well, I think Thor might be done for as well. What do you think, Lost?
No, I'd agree. I mean, I think Benedict Cumberbatch and Doctor Strange is probably the only possible candidate they have to replace the proper leading role in say Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man. I know they were trying to do it with Tom Holland, but Tom Holland's A, Spider-Man is not powerful enough, and B, Tom Holland's not old enough, and he doesn't have the same gravitas, and he also works for Sony, which puts a scupper in the works. Cumberbatch, he has the presence, he has the age, the character is sufficiently powerful and now sufficiently involved to take on that kind of leadership mantle. So I think I'd agree. It probably is the make or break. And obviously, you'll still get Disney butt droids going to watch anything that they put out, because anything. But no, I don't know. I didn't particularly like the first Doctor Strange film, I will admit. I don't really get on with the character. But this is sort of the one which has the most obvious stakes riding on it, partly because it has these other characters involved. And I would like to see how exactly they make Wanda's line in that advert any less contemptible than it is in that advert. Jesus. Doctor Strange tries to save the universe and he's called a hero. All I did was enslave a small town because my robot sex toy died, and I'm called a villain. So I want to see if they portray that sincerely, and if that's actually a thing that they think is moral, or whether she actually has a much darker side in this film and is almost a villain. Because if they do that, this could be a good film. But if they try and genuinely portray her as the hero throughout, then no, this is not going to work.
I mean, the trailer had Professor X's voice in it, didn't it? I think they're trying to go down that really.
Yes, I'm Picard.
Yeah, well, he sounded like he did in the original X-Men movies. So I don't know.
Might be a recording from back then.
But what could gain a lot of interest in this film is if they have Magneto in it.
Mm-hmm.
Because she is in the comics is the daughter of Magneto. So if they brought that aspect into it, that would get a lot of interest, I think.
Wow.
They do need to find a way of bringing the X-Men in at some point, don't they? Because they have been trying to figure this out for quite some time.
Yeah.
And I don't think this is going to be the film where they do it, because I do suspect this multiverse thing will be used to throw in cameo performances rather than actually seriously bring characters
Tom Cruise
through. But also, on the other hand, it is the opportunity. If you are going to start bringing in characters, this probably is the obvious setup you would use to achieve that. So maybe they'll throw out some surprises. Maybe this will be the debut of a whole new set of characters.
Tom Cruise as Iron Man.
Tom Cruise as oh god! I hope if they've done that, then no, it's completely dead. If they've done that, that's just gone.
I will say, Wesley in the chat, he's a good barometer of what's going on. He says the MCU is already over for him.
Mm.
And then Nigel 4, which is very difficult to say, looks dreadful.
Yep.
Cruel, hello Cruel, 4 crap. Jacob, Scarlet Witch, I mean Doctor Strange movie.
The Thor one is it's revealing as the sort of the counterpoint, isn't it? Because again, Doctor Strange has an obvious role left in the universe, integrally involved in No Way Home. It's got Wanda in it as well, so he has this integral relationship with a number of other characters. This is the film which will drag the story along, and at the moment there is no through arc in the MCU. There's no plan. This is the film that could reestablish that and actually give us all something to pay attention
it's not gonna happen,
to.
though, is it?
I think it's unlikely, but this is the film that will do it. Whereas you compare that to Thor, and all the signs for Thor 4 are that this is it's just a valedictory thing. This is just it because he's left over and people like him kind of, but he's not involved in any of these grand. Well, if there is a grander story, he isn't yet involved in it. So that's not the one to look to for whether the MCU is absolutely set in its decline or whether this is a renewal process. It will be Doctor Strange that this all hinges on, I think.
Yeah.
Matthew, this one's for you.
Also, the Atad Walker was a behemoth of a war machine standing at a height of 22.5 meters.
Once I finish this stream, the first thing I'm going to do is Google Atad Walker, because I'm very, very intrigued to see what these are. So
it'll blow your mind.
You're not actually being serious, are you?
I am a serious asshole, yes. Brian, any thoughts on this before we move on?
Fuck shite. I suspect it'll be shite, bro. Shite.
We just know.
I've got no hope.
We just know, don't we? We just know.
I watched Spider-Man and I thought actually that was genuinely good.
No,
but I think that's kind of like just a unique upward blip on what is otherwise a downward trajectory for the MCU, isn't it? Sorry, MCU. Sorry.
You know when you were a little boy and you were poorly or ill, and you'd been to the doctors and you'd been given some medicine. And it was obviously from a bottle, and your mother would give you 2 teaspoons of this foul, tasting, disgusting shite.
Do not diss the purple Calpol. That was lovely.
But you know you were going to have it, and you know you've got to watch it or take it, but you just know it's going to taste fucking rancid. That's where we're at, boys and girls.
Yeah,
I think we all know we're going to go see it. And we're not going to like the taste of it, but there you go. Anyway, okay. So I think, as I said, if this falls, Thor could be in trouble. There you go.
There is just very quickly, so last thought on that. There is a danger that this film is all right, not excellent, not redefining, but all right, as in it carries itself. And then Thor, and then you can build a new stage of the franchise on a film that's just all right if there's enough promise in there. But if you have a film that's just all right, you know, is semi-promising, and then Thor comes along and bombs for other reasons all of its own, then you could actually have the situation where Thor is dragging down any attempt to remake the MCU along the lines that this film could potentially be going down. So they have to get both of them right, one way or the other. And given recent history, I'm not sure they will get either of them right.
Okay, in the chat, that Nigel movie guy, I make the greatest movie review videos of all time because I am the best film critic and historian the world has ever known.
Well, that's quite a statement.
Whereas I know fuck all. So
I want to link to his YouTube channel. That sounds great.
Yeah, we want to check that out. We can.
Nigel, you are a mod. Why don't you throw your link to your channel in the chat so the boys and girls can check out the greatest movie reviewer of all time? Obviously after the stream. Okay, let's move on. Oh, so here we go. This is kind of the turd that doesn't want to flush, isn't it? Metaphorically. So, who would like to start? Who would get the most pleasure starting to talk about this fella?
I don't think pleasure really works in the same sentence as this guy, is it?
Anybody? It's Ezra Miller. Ezra
Just,
Miller.
Look at this! Look at this disgusting look of smug superiority on his face that he seems to have everywhere, in every single photo of him, even probably in mugshots. He's just standing there, just looking at the camera, saying, "I can do what the hell I want because I'm gay. No one can do anything about it."
He does seem to have a golden Willy Wonka chocolate ticket, doesn't he?
God.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah,
that was totally made up. Sorry, it was shit, but
it's
good in my head.
He's got a bloody he's got an immunity to consequence, from what I can tell. After choke slamming a pregnant girl a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I was going to say, fucking hell, the chat's on fire tonight. Wesley in the chat, Ezra Miller has been found once again punching the patriarchy. Unfortunately, it's the female patriarchy he keeps punching.
Is that the matriarchy?
It is. I told you I'm a thick twat.
Thought I'd check, just right.
Yeah, told you I'm a thick twat.
Yeah, I don't know why he hates women so much.
Nigel Movie Guy, there you go, boys and girls. Check his channel out. Nigel, you're welcome, mate. You're welcome.
Nice one.
Melvin Deeply. Hello, Melvin. Is he gay? That's the most shocking thing I've heard since Barry Manilow came out.
So I think the answer to that question is yes and no, because one of the reasons Ezra Miller can get away with some of this stuff is whereas other people absolutely cannot, is because Ezra Miller is officially, well, if you're polite anyway, he's officially not a he. Ezra Miller is a they-them person. So jury's out on whether or not it's possible to be homosexual whilst also not being either a male or a female. And I think he would probably say he is pansexual, which basically means you fuck anything that moves. And if it says no, you suck it in the
pans
face.
And pots and stuff like that.
Yeah, that well probably is incled.
You wouldn't trust him with your cutlery, put it that way.
Lots of love coming in from him in the chat, actually.
There's a lot of this.
Cruel, he is officially a twat.
That should be his program.
He is twat.
He is absolutely off the rails. So my
Scotty being dirty. Well done, Scotty.
My partner on our channel went with he went with his partner to the premiere of what was it? I think it was Batman v Superman. Ezra Miller is in that, isn't he? Briefly. It's one of the DCEU films that Ezra Miller is in. So they met Ezra Miller, and apparently Ezra Miller tried to poach his boyfriend from him, which is a very charming thing to do. So it's
fucking hell. I think he's been having too much of the Bolivian by the sounds of it.
He's off the rails mad. Like it's slightly controversial given the the tenor of the conversation coming in from the chat. There's a little bit of me that feels slightly sorry for him because someone should have stepped in at some point, and that point should have come quite a long time ago.
His parents, probably.
Parents, ideally, but if you're allowed to get away with this kind of stuff repeatedly, over and over and over again, he's been arrested twice in the last month, and then that's not even the only 2 occasions when he's done something that he really, really shouldn't have done.
Yeah.
There's no one stepping in. From what I've seen of this anyway, there's not even a huge amount of public support or comment or anybody else in what might be his social circle saying we're really worried about Ezra. No one seems to give a damn about him, and he's I think he's around my age, and he has traded on his
17.
looks. Yeah, I wish. He has traded a lot on his. He's quite a striking looking guy. He's not unattractive, and he's traded a lot on that, and probably quite a lot less so on his acting abilities, which are questionable. And he's coming to the point now where he's not going to be able to do that anymore. Combine that with all the films he's in do not do particularly well, and the fact that he doesn't seem to have very many genuinely good or caring friends or a family that really looks out for him very much. And you've got a guy who's suddenly now, I say a guy, a they them, who is suddenly now aware of the declining prospects for his own career with nothing really to replace it, and probably an overindulgence in things he should not be indulging in. And he's just flying off the rails like a Catherine wheel that doesn't have that little pin in the middle of it. And he's going absolutely mental. Someone should step in and tell him no. So to that extent, and that extent only, I feel slightly bad for him. But it doesn't take away from the fact that he's behaving like an absolute dick, and he probably should be in prison and not being let off on the grounds that we can't arrest him because it would be not politic to do so.
He's got his golden card, hasn't he?
Is there a more gender neutral term for Catherine Wheel and Dick?
Well, Catherine can have a dick now in the gender neutral frame. So,
Scotty, I'm going to see the Flash movie for Keaton. Yeah.
I think most people will be, yeah.
How has he still got that film,
narcissist.
by the way? How is he still in these films? He's still in Fantastic Beasts.
Yeah.
He still has The Flash. Like, Warner Brothers yeeted Johnny Depp on the basis of allegations from a woman who was already proven to have been, shall we say, not always the most honest person in the world. But that's based, you don't have to take a side in that particular argument, but they yeeted him on the basis of allegations. Ezra Miller has been found to have done stuff which is at least as bad as all that.
Yeah.
And he didn't even shit in anyone's bed as retaliation. But
not yet.
Nothing has happened as a result of this. He still has all of his major franchises. They're not doing particularly well, but he still has all of this stuff. Why, apart from for political reasons, is there this huge disparate treatment between what Johnny Depp was faced with as a response of allegations and what Ezra Miller is not faced with as a response to actions he's actually taken?
Okay, well, I will say that obviously Nigel Movie Guy knows his stuff about movie reviews, and he also knows his dirt in Hollywood. He must have pleasured some Warner Brothers executive.
Yeah, either that or he knows where the body's buried.
Shouldn't that be Warner Person's executive? Think about it. That's a thinking man's gag.
Or a lead balloon, depending on your point of view.
I'm here all week, by the way.
I mean,
Brian,
given what we know
sorry,
given what we know about the sexual kind of activities
nothing
that go
you
on
ever
in Hollywood,
do is quick.
Like blowjobs and knowing where the bodies are buried, and not necessarily exclusive. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, it's a good point. It's a very good point. So Amber Heard's are they them, isn't she? She, her?
No,
they,
she's
they?
just a proper twat.
Ah, okay.
Fit, or she used to be, but anyway, moving on. Brian, any thoughts before we leave Ezra?
I think Ben's spot on in his summary. Although you have to maybe ask, maybe someone is trying to look out for him, but you can't be a goalkeeper all the time. You know what I mean? I think at least less we hear about this guy, the better. Probably for his own good, to be quite honest.
I don't know why, but it just reminds me of Joffrey from Game of Thrones with all those prostitutes in his room.
It's not a bad thing, yeah. Anyway, okay, let's move on. I think maybe he will have his moment where he realizes, okay, I might need help.
Well, he's coming to the point where he'll do like a David Duchovny and just disappear off to rehab for 2 weeks and then emerge as a reformed man. But
hallelujah.
It tends to be the thing they do when they hit scandal, doesn't it?
Yeah. Okay. Ezra, behave.
And stop punching Hawaiians. They don't deserve it. Leave the island. You terrorize them enough.
This week's the Lord News. Here he is. This is where we're kind of obviously Elon Musk, the second coming of the lad. Was it the third? It's probably third. I don't know. He's singling out the Netflix this week for being a little bit woke, isn't it? Lost.
A little bit.
Do you know anything about this?
Well, I mean, Elon Musk being Elon Musk doesn't really, unless he's in a Reddit AMA or a TED Talk, he doesn't tend to expand and explain very much on Twitter, because Twitter isn't really the place for expanding and explaining. But he can do an awful lot of damage to anyone just by posting out thoughts like this. And I think Netflix stock plummeted as soon as he put this up.
20%.
He's complained specifically about the quality of the sci-fi stuff they put out. He said, just make good sci-fi. Stop injecting woke stuff into that. And does anyone here disagree with him?
Yeah, come on, Elon. Come on this channel. We want to talk about Jerry Anderson's Space 1999. We know you love it.
He's never going to come on because we've promoted Jeff Bezos far too much in the early days.
I know. I hope he buys. I hope Musk buys Amazon. That'd be great.
Well, he's been throwing shade at Bill Gates, so maybe he'd take the opportunity to come on and throw shade at Jeff Bezos as well. But I mean,
Yeah.
you could, you know, I mean, I think a Time Prophet in the chat says, is he having a go at Netflix because he's getting ready to buy it? I mean, given what we know about Elon Musk, that's not impossible. You drum down Netflix's stock price and then you put in an offer on the new lower price. I don't think he will make two moves of that manner in one go, but it would be nice if he did. But he's right, isn't it? I don't think anyone here sort of disagrees.
Good for you, Time Prophet.
We have this this trouble with Netflix in particular. I don't think it's just the wokeness that has caused Netflix to do this, but woke is a significant reason people are starting to switch off, and it does seem to be doubling down, as we'll come on to later.
Brian, any thoughts on this?
Well, he smoked weed with Rogan, so now he should come on to your show and do ketamine with Brown. I don't have any thoughts about it. I mean, a bit of luck he might have some kind of influence because people tend to listen to him, but I don't know if they've made their bed, Netflix. And will them being hit in the pocket change their mind? I don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah, I think they were just, it just all went to their head, awash with money.
There are deeper reasons that they are screwed, and they don't actually have anything to do with wokeness. So, I mean, I think I've said on the stream like before, the early streaming service sales pitch was literally indistinguishable from a pyramid scheme. This is a great idea, and it will always get better because always there will be more people to come along and subscribe.
What exactly? What is a pyramid scheme for people like me?
A pyramid scheme is a kind of almost 100% fraudulent investment offer where you're told that, you know, you put some money in, but then other people will put money in, so it'll get better. And then they'll ask all their friends to put money in and it'll get better. And then other people will ask all their friends to put money in and it will get better. And the scheme suggests that this will go on forever. So there is literally no way you can lose. You put a bit of money in, you tell all your friends, the process repeats. It gets bigger and bigger and bigger. It spirals for eternity. And then as a result of that, you become very, very rich. And in a lot of scenarios, these are actually illegal because 100% of the time they fall down and crash and burn and take everyone's money with them. But the early streaming service sales pitch was not that different. It was to investors, look, here's the first, in Netflix's case, first of its kind. This will always have more subscribers. We're the only one doing what we're doing. It's cheap. It's cost effective. There will always be more subscribers. So put money in so we can borrow more money so we can chuck all that money into streaming content, but we'll always have more subscribers. So we'll be fine. But this is not how real life works. You get to a point where you hit your natural ceiling and then competitors realize what you're doing and then they emerge and start doing the same thing. And that automatically, Amazon, Paramount, CBS, although that's not going particularly well. CNN, definitely not going very, very well. Peacock is another one. There's all of these that are coming out now. And the more of them there are, the lower the ceiling gets for your optimum, your prime number, your peak number of subscribers lowers for the more people there are competing with you. So this was always going to happen. Netflix has just been lying to itself and thinking that it wouldn't. So there was always going to be a slowdown, but because investors were sold on this proposition that essentially this is going to go on forever, the fact it slowed down caused people to start panicking. Now it started to lose subscribers, as it always was going to do, because we're not in lockdowns anymore and not everyone is locked behind their televisions. The fact it's now losing subscribers means that myth has been exploded, and investors sold on the proposition are now fleeing from the company, which is why even if it loses 100,000 subscribers, which isn't a huge amount in the great scheme of things, the stock price is the impact on the stock price is disproportionate to the number of subscribers lost, because the thing that's been shattered is the myth of the Netflix thing. And it has no answer to this either. Its answer is, we'll raise prices. That's going to do well for subscribers. And we're going to put adverts on the plans. That's also not going to be good for subscribers.
Oh, yeah.
So combine that with the fact that all the content is garbage. What possible reason do people have to stay with it? And this is the deeper long-term problem that Netflix is always going to face. The woke stuff doesn't help, and Elon Musk pointing out the woke stuff makes everything worse for them. But they probably deserve it. So
I think it needs the Mega Geek to make some decent programs for them. Melvin Deeply, is Paul Chato coming on? I found this channel through his one. He has been approached, so we are ongoing. I know the Critical Drinker beat me to it. I think purely because probably the Drinker's channel is bigger, but he has been approached. So watch this space, Melvin. Swappers, any thoughts before we move on?
Well, I mean, I think he's right about the woke stuff, but I was shocked to hear about the adverts in shows.
That's a bad one, isn't it?
That you're paying streaming to avoid adverts. I think that's just crazy. Other than that, I don't really know an awful lot about it. I just think that, it's Elon Musk. He's buying everything. Is he going to go for this next? I think if he did, he might improve it. I think there's rumors of him buying, Disney or whatever, which he probably could if the stock drops any further. But again, I think
you could buy Disney in a week's time.
You never know. You never know.
We'll have a whip round and buy it. Yes.
They keep sabotaging themselves, then you could probably buy it with the money that you receive for this channel.
We will get to that at the end of the stream. Disney news coming at the end.
Yeah. I don't know. Musk's a strange individual, really strange individual. There's this guy who I tend to follow online, Jordan Peterson, who was in an interview recently talking about Elon Musk, and he candidly and genuinely seriously came out and said he doesn't think he's human. And he says he's probably a reptilian. He was not joking. And this guy is sound of mind, right?
He does have Asperger's, or he could be a reptile.
Well, yeah. It might be just a reptile calling out another reptile, but
he may have come back in time.
We never know. Yeah, would explain a lot.
Yeah,
the way he can just afford to do things and at the drop of a hat.
He's changing the timeline.
He says he's going to do something, and then like a year later, he actually does it. Something crazy, something ridiculous. Oh, we're going to go to Mars in 5 minutes. Oh, well, here we are. I'm from Mars, by the way, over here. Yes, hello. It's going to happen. So I generally don't think he's just not a usual person. He can do things that, with the constraints of society, just don't seem to affect him at all. So yeah, it's interesting in that respect, because he seems to be free of all those, the things that weigh everyone else down.
Yeah.
But if he's calling out, I'm not sure I actually trust him completely. He might be paid opposition for the left. I don't know, controlled opposition rather. But
yeah,
if he's acting against wokeness, then it does intrigue me, and
that bad.
And it can only be a good thing. I would imagine. I'd trust him a lot more than Bill Gates. Put it that way.
I saw this today. Wookie Fever 1969. Hello, Wookie. I was reading that the Twitter board is reconsidering Musk's offer. Just read that today. Yeah, I read that as well. Money talks.
He's upped the offer as well slightly, because he got financial backing from a banking conglomerate and a few other large scale investors. So he was able to offer more money, even than he was only by a few billion, but still significantly more. And the Twitter board, because of the way Twitter is set up, which actually isn't like other tech companies, the way Twitter is set up is actually makes it more vulnerable to this. Most tech companies have inbuilt things which stop the kind of hostile takeover he's trying, but Twitter never has had these. Twitter's board has an ultimate fiduciary responsibility to its shareholders, and there's only so much it can do to forestall Elon Musk without breaching that fiduciary duty, which would be illegal. So there does come a point where he persists, he offers enough money, and they cannot counter him anymore without breaching their fiduciary duty to their shareholders. So they may, in the end, have no choice but to sell it. It's whether he can keep up the pressure and whether they are able to find any more loopholes that they can use. but their options are running out and his aren't. So I'm still erring on the side of caution. I want it to happen, so it probably won't.
Agree, yeah.
But it is as likely as it has ever been that it will. So we wait and see.
Time Prophet in the chat. Who is Paul Chato? Is he an ex-TV exec who's on YouTube? Check his channel out. It's really good. I would put the link in the channel.
The link's already in it.
Oh, just check him out, everybody. It's genuinely a good channel. Paul, if you do watch this, we would genuinely love you to come on, mate. Okay, so shall we move on from this one? And in connection with Netflix and a clever little boy who's on the panel, this program dropped this week. Who's that? A Demon Scythe? I think somebody posted that. It's a Japanese program about a man who gets pregnant. Who's seen this program?
No, not yet. It's too new for me.
Brian?
I saw some guy done a review on it. Not quite sure who this guy was, but he seemed to know what he was talking about, so I might give them the floor.
Lord, do you know anything about this?
I actually did sit down and watch it after the stream last night.
Do you want to post the link in the chat?
Yes, I can do. I'll have to quickly find it, but I will try and multitask. So no, I actually did. Yeah, I sat down and I thought, this looks what we're discussing it tomorrow, and it looks like the next thing on the long list of things that is bringing Netflix to the floor. So I will see what it's all about.
It's bad timing, isn't it, as well, with what's going on?
Well, that's the thing. It's incredibly badly timed.
Yeah, it's not the secret of comedy, is it?
Well,
it's the opposite.
This sorry, I'm trying to multitask and find the link here at the same time. This show is, curiously enough, it's basically the thing is picked up from an obscure manga publication in Japan. Yeah. So it's not even a popular thing in Japan. It's called Be Love, and it was founded in the 80s as the first manga publication targeted at women and housewives in particular. Never had a huge role of sort of subscribers as far as I'm aware, and the number of its circulation has halved in the last decade, in fact less than a decade, from about 200,000 to 100,000. All of this is set up because this makes it very curious that Netflix has decided to pick this up. Netflix didn't just pick up this program because it had been made elsewhere and they decided they would host it. Netflix went to the publishers and they said, we want to make this with a Japanese publisher alongside us. So it's a co-partnership with Netflix, and Tokyo TV is the other one. So it's not just like Netflix, you know Netflix, it fills its stuff with random crap that it finds and that no one else wants, so it sticks it up. No, Netflix decided it would spend the money to go and make this thing, and it has picked a deliberately very obscure and very, well, it must have known this would be controversial, and it's run with it, and it's utterly bizarre as a show, but also as a decision. As a show, it's not as bad as you might expect. There are some redeeming qualities to it. It's so zany and quirky that it's almost hypnotic, and you do find yourself sitting there thinking, this is obviously garbage, which it is, but also I kind of want to see where it's going. It's a terrible show on its own right, but it also is it's a curious thing. It tries to take far too much about modern Japan and to comment on, to give social commentary. But it does so with a distinctively Western flavor, which means that it doesn't have an audience in Japan because the Japanese don't tend to like being preached at by leftists of the Western mold or feminists of the Western mold. But it doesn't have any American audience, which is what makes it a strange decision, because at the moment, I mean, think of one of the most irritating things and the most ridiculous things that has happened in big tech in recent times, which is the adoption of the pregnant man emoji, which is sort of the symbol of the cultural vandalism that is going on. And then Netflix decides, oh, I know what we'll do. Let's make a show about a pregnant man, and we'll call it social commentary for Japanese people. But actually, this is this is so obviously social commentary for American audiences. And this is going to go badly because they are voluntarily putting out publishing materials like this and inviting the charge that Elon Musk made earlier, which is that it's so woke as to be unwatchable. What do they expect to happen? This, without people watching it, this will do an immense amount of damage to Netflix, because people will see the picture and they will think, oh my God, Netflix is everything they said it was. Cancel the subscription. Get rid of Netflix as quickly as possible. I'm not spending my money on this garbage. And you can see why.
Ironically, I think you're going to watch the rest of it.
I don't know. I watched most of it last night. I think I watched this. I think it's 10 episodes, and I watched 6, I think. I probably won't go through the rest of it because it is just it's so bizarre. It's one of the most bizarre things I've seen in recent years. Even
how long are the episodes?
There's something only 25 minutes long, so
that's okay. Bite
you can binge it quite easily. But the premise, the story for this is that the main character is a high flying advertising executive, and he is involved in a company that produces sort of fashion campaigns and all the rest of that. And then in universe, as opposed to in our universe, there is this phenomenon of male pregnancy, like genuine male pregnancy, about 40 or 50 a year reportedly happen in this universe. And he magically becomes pregnant. And the idea that for a Japanese audience is that what they're trying to critique this bifurcation that exists in Japanese society because of how quickly the country has developed. You have a very socially traditionalist kind of set of norms and attitudes, but the business world is progressing so quickly and in revolutionary ways that it produces this vast contradiction in Japanese society, and where the role of the wife and the mother is still almost a sacred thing, but men literally have no time to start families or form families because they are always at work in this incredibly high pressure atmosphere. These are all genuine problems in Japan, and you could do a really good show exploring them. This show is not that show. This show decides that it will combine as many possible things it's heard of ever as being problems in Japan, and then sets them up with a premise, which is that we follow a character who's in such a bizarre situation. We have no idea what's going on with him either. And the result is this hodgepodge, this total mess. We don't ever know really what the hell the show is trying to say. You just know it's trying really hard to say something. And the only thing to keep you watching is the fact that it is so zany and weird that you're almost intrigued in a weird masochistic kind of way.
Melvin in the chat, never going to watch that. They stole the idea from Al's Baby story from Judge Dredd magazine, but Al's Baby was a comedy. And then Time Prophet, where is he going to keep the baby? Where is the fetus going to gestate? They're going to keep it in a box, mate.
They actually do go to the length of trying to explain some of this in the show. And it just doesn't work. Again, you've got these really complex social issues that you're trying to comment on, but you're taking time out every 5 minutes to explain the biology and the physics, as in where bones move to, of how male pregnancy works. They do actually try and give some kind of explanation, but it doesn't wash because it has so little time in which to do any of this stuff anyway, that what's already a nonsensical premise is only made more nonsensical by how rapidly they're moving through it all, and how just, again, utterly bizarre the whole thing is. It's really weird.
Bridget Moore, I once had a poo so big I felt like I was having a baby. A 5 flusher.
Wow, mud tower.
Sorry, Bridget. My record is a 7 flusher at work. It refused. But a 5 flusher is I salute you, sir. I salute you. Okay. So shall we move on from the ridiculous? Yeah. Yes. So we're still kind of pursuing the Netflix stuff. They're in trouble, aren't they, Lord? Do you think they can steer the ship, or is it the Titanic? What do you think?
It's looking increasingly like the Titanic at the moment.
Really? Wow.
Well, for all the reasons already laid out, the fundamental investment proposition has tanked. It's not offering anything new to subscribers. In an attempt to reassure its financial backers, it's having to take measures like introducing adverts to make it more commercially viable. But these things are in turn going to drive even more subscribers leaving the show. There's no evidence that it has any brand new properties to offer anybody, which will recreate the kind of magic we saw when it had Stranger Things and when it got Breaking Bad, and all of the things that really made its reputation in the early days. All of this stuff, adding ads, commercials, and upping prices is an attempt to reassure the investors who were already leaving anyway because they were sold on essentially a false prospectus of eternally growing subscriber numbers. So it's really hard to see, unless it can somehow magic into existence another show, a new show, which achieves the same critical and commercial success as, say, Stranger Things did. It will not. There is no way for it to reverse course that I can see, and it's going to do that. All it's doing is throwing more money at Stranger Things, and recent seasons have already suggested that money is not helping the quality of that show. So,
I think there was several years ago when the Discovery stuff started. There were rumors that they were going to buy Star Trek lock, stock, and barrel to make proper Star Trek.
Well, the first Star Trek that ever appeared on Netflix was Discovery, of course. So
I think, probably looking back with what you just said, if they'd have bought Star Trek lock, stock, and barrel and made proper Star Trek, I think possibly they would be in a different position.
Maybe, but you can say the same thing about the things that it did pick up. I mean, Stranger Things is sort of the most proximate example because it's the thing people most readily associated it with back in the day. It's also the one single big ticket item really that it has left to its name. That the only reason I still have a subscription is because I'm waiting for season 4 to drop. But season 3 was pretty terrible. The decline has been quite marked, and there's nothing to suggest season 4 will be any better. Money does not actually help when it comes to writing good shows. Money is often a bad thing when it comes to writing because it makes the writing less important. So to take your counter example, if they picked up and bought out Star Trek as a whole, maybe they'd have done 1 or 2 good seasons, but I don't see any reason why it wouldn't have followed the same downward trajectory as everything else they've done. And also, again, the first Star Trek series it showed, which it was co-producer on, was Star Trek Discovery. So
it's not exactly put the money up for it, didn't they? So
they did, yeah, they absolutely did. And
Scotty they did says incorrect. I assume I'm talking bollocks, which is highly likely, but yeah, because I think they did. I'm sure they funded the first 2 seasons, and it wasn't good, and I think they just went nah.
Well, they sort of wanted it because Star Trek is still a big IP, so it still has.
It was a blue chip thing at the time, yes.
Which is why they put up so much money for it, and it's also the reason Paramount decided to take it off of Netflix. Netflix didn't say no to it. Netflix were happy to keep showing it, but Paramount wanted it exclusively because this is how streaming services operate. It doesn't matter about the quality of the show, but if you can sell people on this prospectus, which is that you have this huge IP, you will get subscribers in through the door. And even if they hate that thing, they might find something else to watch and they'll stay with the service. So the IP has done its job, which is why Netflix stuck with Discovery for so long. And I don't think it wanted to lose it when it lost it. But, the counterpoint to that is that's also why Paramount wanted it exclusively, because it knew no matter what we who watch it think of it, it will still bring people through the door for Paramount. Netflix doesn't have any of these things coming out either, though. So it's just it's very difficult to see how it can even slow the decline it's currently in. Never mind reverse it.
Could it just not make decent programs, or is it? Would that not help?
Shocking idea. But no is the answer. I don't think they can.
Kral Birab, this may come as a shock. I've still not seen new Star Trek. Fucking hell, I envy you, mate. Anyway, okay. So we will move on. I'm hoping that the next slide isn't more Netflix. Disney. The Vatican City of Florida. Who would like to start? Matthew, do you know anything about this?
I know very little. I've sort of caught little drips and drabs of what's been going on with Disney recently. They piss me off so much I try to avoid them at all costs. But whenever I see any bad news for Disney whatsoever, I kind of just do this sort of little cheer inside and just think, yes, another step into hell, you bastards. Fuck off forever. So I'm hoping they do just completely collapse, and this is just another step on that direction. But this is to do with that whole "don't say gay" thing, which I don't know. Which I don't know. Which I don't know anything about originally. I completely
we know somebody who does, but we'll get to him in a minute or two.
That "don't say gay" thing was a story that totally passed me by. I must have just had my head in the sand that day. I just didn't hear anything about it. And this is all stemmed from that, and it's just been terrible luck for them over the last few weeks. Is all I know. Like Florida's completely against them now. Like people are turning against them. People protesting against them because of their stance towards having, teaching kids certain things, and I'm just very, very happy to see them fail. That's all I can say. After this reparations, after what they've done to Star Wars.
I'll just go back to the Netflix stuff. Prophet of Doom, at least Netflix has cuties.
It's still got the pedo audience on board then, so it's still got some guaranteed subscribers.
Time Prophet is as fucking brutal. He shoots from the hip. It's true though. Brian, any thoughts on this?
I'm delighted that the rest of America appears to be catching up with what we already knew.
I think they're waking up, yes.
In terms of the story, there is no better man to explain this, as much as I do understand it, than Lost Chord, so I think I'll give him the floor again.
Are you sure? Because I have just been on an extended rant.
Yes, well, I've got a packet of Tangy Toms here that I've got my name on it, so I'll let you go.
I will just say, Time Prophet, Disney lost their special tax privileges. Disney are now opening indoctrination camps. Well, I think they'll be closing them before. Right?
They call them theme parks as well.
Yeah. What's this? Disney decided to flight Florida. Florida taught them a lesson. Cruel. Fight. Sorry, I'm blind. Cruel. Ron DeSantis is having none of Disney's crap.
Yeah, he's having a field day at the moment.
Time Prophet, Ron DeSantis for president of the world. Before we get to the Lord, I watched Fox News USA are all over this. Is it Tucker Carlson? And apparently the is it the left? The USA equivalent of the left, that'll be the Democrats, won't it?
Mm-hmm.
Are going ballistic, calling everybody racists and pedos and whatever you want to call it, because they're angry that Disney now will have to pay taxes instead of being exonerated. So, as I said, I'm a thick fuck, right? But in a nutshell, it means Disney as a corporation will have to pay taxes. Get this right. This is important. Like the rest of us. Yeah, and that's a big concept, boys and girls. Disney will have to pay taxes like the rest of us. And certain people in Florida, bearing in mind this is run, technically Disney's run from California. They are doing their fucking nuts over this. And it's the big guns coming out, you're a phobe, pedo, blah, 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 all that shite. Lord, over to you.
Christ,
You've got 15 minutes, son. Knock yourself out.
Where do you even start with this? Okay. Well, I think we did a lot of the Don't Say Gay stuff on one of the last streams, so I don't need to go too much back over that, except to say that the Don't Say Gay bill was Ron DeSantis' attempt to stop sex ed being taught to children under the age of 12. The left decided that meant that you weren't allowed to say gay, which doesn't exist in the bill. There are reasons not to like the bill. It's very broadly worded, which is not what you want from law. But the basic argument is, do you want sex ed from teachers giving your children sex ed under the age of 12 or not? And should parents have a right to know what their children are being taught in schools? That's the basic message of the bill. Doesn't bear any resemblance to what the critics of the bill said that it was. But on this matter, though, because Disney has handled this about as badly as it could possibly have done. Disney is the biggest employer in Florida. and it controls territory, which is, I think, bigger than New York State. And being the biggest employer in Florida and also the most powerful entity in Florida, the left sort of cottoned on to Disney's apparent silence in opposing the alleged Don't Say Gay bill and told them they had to do more. And Disney tried to come out and sort of fight a rearguard action and say, no, honestly, we did try to fight it. Genuinely, we did. The records of all the lobbying, which are kept in Florida's House of Representatives, show that Disney never lobbied once on this bill either way. But that's why Disney was so vociferous afterwards in coming out against the bill and against Ron DeSantis in particular, making very overt and public political comments. When it comes now to Ron DeSantis and the Florida House of Representatives action, it is not actually just special tax privileges that have been rescinded. The Disney's status in Florida is absolutely remarkable, and it's almost, I mean, Vatican City is a really good example for more reasons than just that. It's not just that Disney had favorable tax status, it's that under the Reedy Creek Improvement Zone law, which was signed by a Republican governor in the 60s, Disney was exempt from all Florida law and in control of all law in its territory, except bizarrely regulations governing elevator safety and something to do with interstate highways as well, I think. But it has its own fire service, it has its own police service. It's not just that it doesn't pay tax in Florida. Disney sets its own tax rate and actually charges tax to people who live within the Reedy Creek Improvement Zone. This is actually a state that exists, and it's run by a board which is nominated by landowners in Disney. So it's not a democratic board. The governorship of Disney is not democratic. Landowners in the Reedy Creek Improvement Zone were the ones who sat on the board and decided what was going to happen to this place, that place, and the other. Disney owned all of the land, so Disney owned the entire board, which is how it got away with absolutely everything it got away with. The funny thing is, this once upon a time was a Republican's dream, because Republicans used to be the party of low tax, corporate rights, all the rest of that. And this is proof how well it works, given how massive Disney became. When the deal was originally signed, I think it was by Walt Disney's son, the promise was actually for Disney to create an entire city on this territory and to run that entire city as well. They reneged on that deal. They created a town, then they seceded the town, and a whole kind of complicated arrangement followed. But the upshot being Disney was essentially a self-governing state within the territory of Florida. Now, as a result of all of this, Ron DeSantis said, well, sod you, pretty darlings, we're going to take all of that away from you now. And the House of Representatives voted along party lines, and it's got a Republican majority, to back this law. So Disney is now incredibly screwed. It's not just that they have to pay taxes. It is that all of this stuff is now coming to an end. It's going from being an independent state to a part of the state of Florida.
I think the Tucker Carlson program said technically it's a country.
It has most of the rights of a country, absolutely. Yeah.
A small country, yeah.
It has more rights than most European Union countries do, by the by. But that's for an entirely different subject.
Wow.
The problem and Disney is incredibly screwed in this, because you get people who come out in defense of Disney saying, well, Disney's rich, it must be able to lobby, and there's an element of truth to that, but that only goes so far. Actually, the extent of cultural and political antipathy toward Disney is such that their lobbying efforts will not change many Republican minds. Therefore, it won't be able to achieve any kind of watering down of this proposal through politics. So the alternative is for them to move. But of course, Disney has territory.
It's too big.
It's too big. It's bigger than the whole state of New York. You cannot just put fucking Cinderella's castle on wheels and move it across to Arkansas. That's not going to happen. And they might threaten to do this, but the conclusion is foregone. They can't physically do it. It would wipe them out financially to do it. So they are stuck, absolutely stuck. There is only one way that this will go badly for Ron DeSantis, and that's that he's actually incurred the wrath of Donald Trump, which is the unspoken of part of this story, because there is some talk, and has been for a while, that Ron DeSantis is plotting a presidential bid of his own in 2024. Donald Trump is very much planning a presidential bid of his own in 2024. And Ron DeSantis is the only person who could conceivably beat Donald Trump to the Republican nomination. And you are starting to see the Trump campaign, or remnants of the Trump campaign, now acting against Ron DeSantis. One of Donald Trump's former campaign staffers is now representing Disney in the courts against Ron DeSantis, almost certainly at the behest of this nascent Trump campaign. So this won't go particularly well for the Republicans if it turns into this fight between the DeSantis style folks and the Trumpists. The only other way, there is one other way it goes badly for Republicans, which is that once upon a time, Republicans, as I said earlier, this is the party of low tax. It is the party of corporations. It's the party of individual freedoms. And Disney is kind of the best example of what you can achieve. This is the size of the company you can build if you get the government out of the way. Since Trump got in, the Republicans have turned massively against this kind of economic liberalism. But this makes them much more indistinguishable from the Democrats. And ultimately, this could alienate a significant part of the Republican base who will find themselves having no party to which to turn because their party has become just a right-wing version of the Democrats. It still wants bigger government. It just wants a government to do different shit. And the Republicans then lose their unique selling point. And also, they've lost the single greatest example of what their old ideology could create. The biggest company in not only the state of Florida, but one of the biggest companies in the world. And they've decided that they will burn all of that because they don't like Disney's politics. That's partly Disney's fault, but it's also the Republicans' fault if they choose to burn this and then trash their entire modus operandi of government for the last 60 odd years, but certainly the last 40. So the upshot being, it is all incredibly messy. It's not going to end well, particularly for anybody, but the people it will end worst for are inevitably going to be Disney. And that is the lesson.
Melvin in the chats, this is at me. The US news is all about stirring up anger. They are. The news channels are politically affiliated to the left or right. Best ignore everything they say. They are like cults. You are correct, my friend. Then Bishop Moore, Little Platoons, John Craven's News Round Time. Great stuff. I think this is, I think Time Prophet just sums this up perfectly. Disney went against the parents in Florida. I think that's it in a nutshell, isn't it?
Pretty much. And polling done on the Don't Say Gay bill, when most Americans, not just in Florida, but across the country, were shown the wording of the bill, most of them supported it. It was that this, which is why the Democrats had to call it the Don't Say Gay bill, was because they knew that this kind of headline would be the only way to drum up any opposition to that bill. But actually, most Americans support the premise, which is that parents have rights and children ultimately belong to their parents and not to the state. And we do not want theme parks or schools, for that matter, indoctrinating children in things that the parents have not asked for. So, yeah.
That Nigel movie guy, obviously check his channel out, boys and girls. I will be honest, I grew up visiting Disneyland, California, so there is nostalgic but sad what Disney has become. Walt Disney is spinning in his conservative grave.
Yeah. I think there's the left.
It's sad. It's sad.
The left should be, or the traditional left would be absolutely delighted at this corporate hobbling that's taking place. But they're just so short-sighted and obsessed with the message getting out there.
The message.
Yeah, I've missed the point spectacularly.
Yeah, but we have also now seen the Democrat Party, which goes on and on about how evil tax breaks for billionaires and oil companies are, saying that it's fascist to end tax breaks for Disney. So, which of these two things is true?
Unbelievable, isn't it?
Yeah.
Time Prophet in the chat. What if Disney asked for their fairy godmother? I don't think she's coming anytime soon. This law has been passed, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was last week, late last week, I think.
And it goes through, is it next June?
It'll take time to be put into effect. The law itself is through now. I think it's on the books because it was DeSantis' motion and the House of Representatives.
Can it not be reversed then?
It could theoretically be reversed by the House of Representatives if they held another vote on it, or if DeSantis for some reason decided to veto it, or if they, I don't remember when the next governor's election in Florida is, but I think it's coming up. If the Democrats were to win that governor's election, then possibly. And I think actually that's coming up relatively soon, which is part of the reason you are seeing the Democrats come to Disney's defense, because they are seeing this as a fantastic opportunity to browbeat Ron DeSantis and drum up support for their own candidate. So you'll hear a lot of arguments like, Disney's the largest employer in Florida. All Floridians will be made to pay more tax as a result of this. Therefore, Ron DeSantis should vote for our guy, which is part of the other political backdrop to this.
Kral Birab in the chat. Disney is going to have to pay the piper now.
Yeah.
Then
Just not a good time
Melvin.
for them at the moment, is it? Because they're going to lose out big on that what is it? That's Galactic Star Cruiser crap. That's going to fail miserably from what I've seen. Good God,
I think it's failed, hasn't it?
and they spent God knows how much on that as well. Probably
It's
close
failed,
to
hasn't it?
$1 billion or something. Yeah, well, pretty much from what I've seen, people are pulling out left, right, and centre, and the ones that haven't have just had a terrible experience from the evidence I've seen.
Yeah.
So they're just going to be in desperate need of some kind of cash injection. So now would be a good time to throw away the woke shit and actually give people what they want, I think.
Sell Star Wars to someone else. In fact, the
Yeah.
only thing that would have made this
Yeah.
better is if Ron DeSantis just come out and said, "That's for the Last Jedi, you pricks."
Yes. Oh, yes. That'd be
Can you
sweet.
imagine Star Wars going to Amazon?
I don't know if that's a good thing.
Let Elon buy it.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah, that would be
I've
good.
got an idea. Sell it back to George for $1.
I think he's made enough money back on it from shares and whatever since he
Just buy
sold
it
it.
back, George.
He could just
You know you
buy it
want
back
to.
for asking price and then just carry on with it like nothing's happened. Like say, right, all that Disney shit doesn't count. We're going to carry on from where we left off, sort of thing.
Who wants episode 7?
Melvin Deeply. We are very privileged to have some really great contributions from the chats. Some of the comments are fantastic. I think this could be comment of the night. Are we still allowed to say fairy godmother?
Don't know, but they'll probably be played by Ezra Miller in the next live action Cinderella adaptation.
Oh God! Wasn't there that terrible casting for a forthcoming Disney movie? Was like a black man instead of a little fairy, like a blonde lady. For someone's fairy godmother, it was like some huge hulking football player or something. I don't know.
In the chat, Romeo. I think there's a fan here. Lord, do you want to read this?
I have to say, one of the highlights of the stream is being called use of fiduciary. I had a lecturer who loved to throw that word around. We made it into a drinking game. I'm in real life, I'm in financial journalism, and I have to use that word a lot. So if I turned it into a drinking game, I would not get any work done, but it would be much more fun. So I might consider it.
Lord Cord is the brains of this chicken shit outfit. Remember that. Okay, so I think that is probably it. Disney have got to get their act together and quick. Yes.
Aye.
Aye. Mr. Brown Alliance, please consider donating to the channel. Link in this let's start again. Link in the description. Pin message. Please like, share, subscribe, all that bollocks. All I can say, boys and girls, thank you for sticking with us tonight. Reasonable numbers for this channel, so we must be doing something right. It kind of tailed off when we started doing the politics. But I will thank the chat. You're wonderful guys. We'll see you next time. I will thank the guests. Swappers, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Always fun. Thanks to the chat and you guys as well. Always fun hanging out on a Sunday night and chatting the shite with you. So, yeah. Cheers.
As I said, we're going to try and make it regular. Maybe not as long. Maybe like an hour, 90 minutes. Bite size. We're going to try and do this regular on a Sunday. Just to kind of round the week off. So, not Brian Young. Thank you.
Thanks, Brune. Thanks to the chat. Thanks to Swappers and Ben. It's been a pleasure.
And last but not least, is wonderful John Craven. Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you, chat. And thank you to Brian and Swap Shop, and to you, of course, Brown.
Obviously, check out Lord Cord's Little Platoon channel. Really good. He needs the subs. So I think that's it. There is a possibility we may be popping up tomorrow, but that's we're just basically going to cock about for an hour. It's in the air at the moment. So I think that is it. Everybody stay safe. Have a great week. See you next time. Take care, boys and girls. Take care. Bye-bye.